of light. It is a river of light. Good boy. Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records, and I'm getting in on the Soul Vinyl Tag 2021 here with my trusty pal Chester, and we are going to be showing you albums from the genre soul, and fairly close to a strict definition of soul. I don't think I'll venture too far on any of them, so here we go. The first one is the first soul album you bought. I'm 62 years old, almost 63. Coming up with the first one, I don't know, but I think this is one of the early ones. My mom had a little bit of soul, a little bit of folk revival type stuff, a little bit of pop in the house when I was growing up, and I believe we had this album, Love Child. This is Diana Ross and the Supremes, and great album. Mainstays on the Ed Sullivan Show on Sunday nights, and we sat down every Sunday night and watched the FBI and the Ed Sullivan Show every Sunday night. Like clockwork, we were in front of the television, the whole family, to watch that. And this is a really good one, Diana, when she was still with the Supremes. So I feel like we probably had that album in the house. Not positive. What year was that? That was 1969, so I was 10 and a half years old, something like that. Show of Motown. Now, if you're looking to beef up your soul collection, there is a Motown Anthology series, and they cover almost all, if not all, the major Motown acts of the 60s and 70s. Here's my Marvin Gaye anthology, and it's a 3-record set. Nice way to get, and you see, okay, there's Marvin early. Here he is later in his career. You get it all here, and it's a really good way to get a good sampling of all the major Motown artists. Remember, Motown was primarily a singles label, especially in the 60s. They became an albums label too. But, so much, just like country, soul was distributed pushing the singles as the main way to promote an artist, not so much the albums like you would see in rock at that time, beginning in the mid-1960s. So that Marvin Gaye anthology, I've got the Supremes anthology, I've got about 4 or 5 of those anthologies. Those really good. I'll be on the lookout for those. Number 3, a recent soul album. Okay, a recent soul album. I have a recent band. The album is actually from 2014, but I recently got it. St. Paul and the Broken Bones from Alabama. There they are. That's St. Paul, a very unassuming soul singer, but man, he can sing some soul music. This band is really good, kind of a champion of the Americana, I would call a label, marketing, to the younger people. Very, very much a soul band. Okay, and a Soul 45. Okay. This is one I really had to work hard to acquire, and this is, get it just right here, on North State Records out of Goldsboro, North Carolina, recorded in a closet in Greenville, North Carolina, closet of a studio, just a small little thing. The Occasions, and I'm a girl watcher. Now, this single became a regional hit, and it started breaking out nationally, and ABC Records flew down and purchased the master tape and released it nationally. This was a big song. A lot of people didn't know this is actually a Caucasian group. They had cut their teeth playing the clubs in eastern North Carolina, especially were full of military bases. Camp Lejeune, the Marine base, the air base in Goldsboro, and the Army base in Fayetteville. They played those military clubs a lot, and growing up as young guys, even underage, playing some of those places. And so they got really good at what they did. Released this, and it broke big. So a lot of people, just listening to the record, they thought they were an African American soul band. They were soul band, but they weren't African American. Okay, live album. Okay, I thought I would highlight this. If you're from the Pennsylvania area and maybe the Delaware, D.C. area, you may well be familiar with Billy Price and the Keystone Rhythm Band. Okay, Billy Price, and this is simply titled Live. And Billy Price used to tour up down the East Coast with his band, the Keystone Rhythm Band. And I saw him several times in Raleigh at a place called the Pier. Man, is a great soul singer, R&B and soul. And he's from Pittsburgh, I believe, thus Keystone Rhythm Band. Great. If you're looking for some nice soul R&B, that he put out several albums. He was singer for Roy Buchanan for an album or two as well. Okay. 6 is favorite male soul singer. And this is a reissue of Al Green's first album. And so Al Green, notice he includes an E at the end. They dropped that E when he got, this was on Bell Records. When he got big, they, after this album, I think, in fact, they dropped that. But just love Al Green. So my favorite male soul singer would be Al Green. My favorite female soul singer, Roberta Flack. Okay, and this is First Take. Les McCain presents Roberta Flack. Great singer, pianist, and this was on Atlantic. And this has got Compared to What, very, very important. You could call that a protest song, I suppose. Just listened to this album the other day. The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face is on here. Of course, her huge hit was that song. Roberta Flack. She did a lot with Donny Hathaway. In fact, I could have used that as duets. I didn't, but could have. Funk. Okay. I was looking for my Sly Stone, and I couldn't find my Sly Stone albums. I don't know where they are. But here's a fellow, if you're from the D.C. area, you may be familiar with. It's Little Royal. Jealous is the album. And Little Royal, he had a semi-hit with Razor Blade. In fact, I've seen a cool video on YouTube of him. He was, I think, in Ohio, maybe Cleveland or Cincinnati or somewhere, playing a local TV show, kind of like a Soul Train show. And they were promoting that single. And they came out, and he's going to show you this Little Royal, and he's going to show you the new dance craze for Razor Blade. And he said, I read where he said later, he said, I had no idea what I was going to do. No idea. There was no dance for the song. And he said, I just went out there and winged it, and did a really good job winging it. But I used to see Little Royal. He used to tour up and down Interstate 95, and I'm not too far from Fayetteville. My wife and I, when we were, I don't know if we were married yet or not, but in the 1986, 7, 8, 9, right in there, we'd go up to a place called Cagney's. How many clubs in the United States or the world do you think are named Cagney's? I bet a million. A place called Cagney's on Bragg Boulevard, and we would see Little Royal. And he's kind of billed as James Brown's little brother or something like that. Soul Brother number 2 is what he would go by. But Little Royal. Thought I would show that one as my funk album. Okay. And I don't know if it quite meets the bill for funk, but that's what I'm going with because I used to go see him and I wanted to show that album. It gave me a good chance to show it. Blaxploitation soundtrack. I couldn't believe Lovell on his. He showed Superfly, which made sense, but I was surprised he didn't show this one, so I'll show it. Shaft. Yep. This is composed and performed by Isaac Hayes. Okay. And favorite album cover. Now, you're going to say why. I'll explain why this favorite album cover. It's actually a pretty valuable record that I got in a collection from a lady. I went over to a lady's house just down the road from me here in town. And she had about 200 records of her husband's. Her husband had passed away in the 1970s. He had of cancer, and he had been a party DJ a little bit. Not a lot, but he had done a few parties, and he had bought a bunch of records, and they were in the from a warehouse in New Jersey, and they were 60s and early 70s soul music, and she still had them in her mobile home. But this is one of the albums that came from that collection, and this one is actually worth 25 or 30 bucks. The Poppies, and this is Lullaby of Love. Now, why? Now, this is not anything amazing about this cover or anything, right? Why would I say that? Well, these 3 young ladies were college students, and they had sung together and in groups in college. They were at, let's see if it says in here, they were in Jackson. They went to high school together in Jackson, Mississippi, and they were going to college at Jackson State, and they got their break while they were in college, and there, look at their faces, the sheer joy of youth, realizing we've got our own record. You know, we're cutting a record for Epic Records, the Poppies, Lullaby of Love, and it is a really good album. So I like this cover because I like to think about what may be going through their minds as this is all happening to them when they're like 18, 19, 20 years old. Gosh, can you imagine? I love it. I love it. So the Poppies, Lullaby of Love. And then he wanted to show that number 11 is 11, 12, and 13 are classic albums from the decades. And he started with 1960. I want to start with 1950 and do 50, 60, and 70 instead of 60, 70, and 80 because I really don't have that much 80 stuff. Okay, from the 1950s, they started off as a gospel group. The Five Royals. This is on King. So this is a recent reissue of the Five Royals. Many consider one of the first of the soul rock groups. I don't know if I say that right, but basically it's a soul group, R&B soul group. The Five Royals. Started as a gospel group. And from the 60s, Arthur Conley, Sweet Soul Music, the 1960s. And this is on ATCO, Division of Atlantic. There he is. A lot of these songs he and Otis Redding wrote together. They wrote Sweet Soul Music together. They wrote, I know they wrote that one. They wrote I'm a Lonely Stranger together. And other songs Arthur wrote himself, by himself. Others Otis wrote by himself. And a nice collaboration between the two of them. This is from 1967. Sweet soul music. And from the 1970s, go back to my favorite soul singer, from 1972 on High Records, Al Green. And this, of course, is I'm Still in Love with You. And, of course, Al's still with us. He's a minister in Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken now. He does some covers on here, does some stuff he wrote himself. But, of course, the killer song is the title track, I'm Still in Love with You. He does Love and Happiness. Oh, I love that song. The covers he does a Christopherson cover for the Good Times, which makes sense as a really good soul song. He does Old Pretty Woman, Roy Orbison song, which you wouldn't envision that without having heard him do it. Envision that as a vehicle for a soul singer. Okay, and soul duet. Not everything came out of Memphis or Detroit. Here's one that came out of Nashville. Soul Shake. This is Peggy Scott and JoJo Benson. This is a really good album. I love this album. And this is on Shelby Singleton's, one of his labels. It's on the SSS International. He had a bunch of different names for labels. Plantation was one. And this is from 1969. Really good album. Do it. And while I'm at it, how about if he didn't include this as a question, but I'm just going to add it in here. How about favorite soul group? Didn't have to think about that one long. Staple Singers. What a great group. And maybe Staple's still with us. This is B Altitude, Respect Yourself. The Altitude. It's on Stax, classic record soul label Stax. And what a great group that was. It's got Respect Yourself on it, as you would expect. Are We the People? Are You Sure? Who Do You Think You Are? Jesus Christ Superstar. Great particular album here, but just a great group. Father and Daughters. And then favorite soul song. Bill Withers and Ain't No Sunshine. Ain't No Sunshine When You're Gone. What a great artist, a great album. Great Bill Withers. He passed recently. Okay, so that is my version of Soul Tag 2021. I hope everybody has a great day, and I look forward to seeing more of these Soul Tag videos. Everybody, take care, and remember, be kind to your neighbors, because we're all neighbors.